Hey guys, welcome to Remarried Love, the best new love relationship podcast for everyday men and women who desire to be married again. We're your hosts, Dee
and Aki,
and we're going to have candid, heartfelt conversations about the journey to a healthy remarriage.
We are so glad you're here with us today. And in today's episode, we are going to talk about money roles in remarriage. And we're also going to give you some nuggets of wisdom and things that we have gone through to help your journey to be a little smoother.
So take a deep breath. Let's get into it.
So before we begin, we'll share a little bit of what has happened to us when we were going through the remarried journey. And it's with a story about how our finances changed because of the situation in our personal lives had changed. So the purpose of this episode is to help eliminate the fear that goes on with talking about money, that sometimes, people don't want to get into that, or they feel shame or anxiety about their financial situations, especially after going through a divorce. And first of all, we want to tell you that we totally understand your situation. There is nothing to be ashamed about. We've all gone through some financial strains, and divorce can definitely put that on you. So we just want you to know in this episode and in this podcast, there's no judgment. We just want to help you find solutions and give you tips on making this financial kind of transition a little bit easier.
So I'm going to share a story of what happened to us when we started dating and how our money changed. The story starts off when we were just getting together and we decided that we wanted to be a serious couple. Then I happened to introduce my now wife to my ex-wife, and she made a decision that she no longer wanted to bring the children to the house that I was living at. So that changed my finances in a way, because now I had to drive farther to see the children, and gas prices at that time just skyrocketed. They went up. And so
yeah, when you say farther, it wasn't just like,
down the street or anything like that.
It was like an hour drive.
It was an hour.
Both ways. Kind of, maybe it was like 45 minutes, depending on the time that we were able to get them. So the schedule changed. At first, it used to be,
every
kids would be dropped off at our house, and then we would bring them back to their mother's house. But now it was, we were responsible for picking them up and taking them back if we wanted to spend time with them.
Yeah.
And, that's not really an issue. With the price of gas increasing in that one time period, it really caused an unexpected rift in our finances. And so that kind of put a strain on us, and we worked it out. We had to come together and think of like how we were going to do that. Does this mean we may not be able to see them every weekend that we were supposed to see them? We have to take a break so our finances could build back up. How would that affect the children? You can get into real binds sometimes over finances, but we want to let you know that whatever you're going through, you can definitely work together and find a way to resolve it. And we understand that people who are remarried, becoming remarried, having blended families, dealing with third parties in the relationship, it can affect everything. So we are sensitive to that, and we're going to talk about it today. It's some of the hard things that we have to discuss, but we will also speak hope over it, because you can find resolution in these difficult situations, and we will hopefully help you to create like ideas and plans for your money.
So when we talk about money roles in a remarriage, one of the things that we want to discuss is to have a money reality check.
I think that's the most important thing that you can do for yourself and for you guys as a couple, is to just have a reality check with your money, because your money when you were single did different things and meant different things. The money, situation while you were previously married may have had different responsibilities. Now, when you were divorced or single again, you now had different responsibilities. For men, sometimes that means paying child support. For women, it could be like a 24/7 responsibility that you have with the children. There's so many different things that happen after a divorce. And now you're thinking about, or you already are remarried, and now your money is going to be doing different things.
One of the different things that it does when you're remarried is it travels to another house. And so you may be paying bills where you're living with your new spouse, but you're also paying for child support or alimony, or you're paying bills in the other house. Sometimes this can cause tension in a marriage. What we have done is we've taken a look at the money flow that we were dealing with. And so we realized that there's money coming out of the household, going to another household because of child support. I was paying child support, and we had to look at how much was going out of the house and what we had to do with the money that was still in our house.
And it wasn't just on, his side, on my side. The money I used to receive from businesses and accounts or things that were shared with my ex at the time, everything had been cut off. So our money flow as individuals had changed. In his case, more money was going out of his household. And then in my case, less money was coming in. So that was a time in our life that was probably the hardest financially. I mean, even when, we were first starting off as young people, but to even know where it's going and to be able to communicate that with your spouse or with the person that you'd like to be remarried to can kind of help the whole picture to kind of see where do we have holes or where do we have places that we can improve our finances. Another thing that you want to address when you're doing a reality check is really think about your financial dynamics. Do you think it should be led by the person who is making the most income? Do you think it's a 50-50 situation? Are you in a power struggle, even with yourself, about what you should still have control over financially, or if your spouse should have any input in that? These are the things we recommend that you do in your reality check. You've probably heard us mention this before. Both Dee and I have been through divorces, and now we're 15 years strong in our remarriage journey. So trust us when we say we get it. The ups, the downs, and everything in between when starting over and building a new life together. If you're ready to reclaim your power in love, life, and money, I wrote Power Over All just for you. It's real, it's encouraging, and it's meant to walk with you as you heal and grow. There's also a companion journal to help you track your progress and reflect all year long. Grab your copy today and step fully into the power God already gave you. Links in the description. Now let's get back to the episode.
So one of the things that you can evaluate is where your money is actually going. And we had to take a look at where our finances were going and coming in so that we can decide on how we're going to handle this household.
I think the first step is really just bringing it to light, like writing down, this is where my money is going and this is where it's coming, from. The next thing you may want to do is really look at where are the financial ties to your first marriage. Some people have alimony, child support. Other people even they're on the same insurance, they're on a 401k together, there may be pensions. All of these things are areas in your finances that you want to get clarity on with each other.
Another thing is, do you have guilt from your first marriage? Were you an overspender, a super giver to family, churches, organizations, or even friends? Did you mismanage your funds by gambling? There's a lot of things that go on in your financial resources. When I look at myself, I had some guilt. And one of the things I had to look at was, how did I do when it came to taking care of the household and distributing the resources or bringing in the resources? And I feel like I could have did a better job.
How did you solve it? How did you overcome your guilt?
I decided to become a different type of person, which is a person who would create businesses or have other resources other than just one job. And not just having another job that's the same kind of thing. I would do something different that would be able to help myself and my family and also take care of my responsibilities.
In your reality check, look to see, was I a gambler? Do I have guilt about that? And what do I need to do to make sure that I don't have that in my new relationship? Or I was an overspender. I spent a lot, and I know that it caused strain on my previous marriage. And it's something that I don't want to bring into my new marriage.
Or are you a super giver? You're just giving everywhere. You're giving
that's a
your
good
money
one.
away. You're giving it to your friends. You're giving it to your family. And let me explain what that is.
Yeah.
A super giver is someone who gives to their family, they give to their friends, they give to an organization
or church, and
or
just
church.
all the time they're giving.
They're just giving and giving and giving, and maybe their spouse has no idea that they gave the money away.
That's a tricky topic with giving, because some people feel that that's not something that needs to be tracked or subject to approval or anything like that from anyone else. And maybe you don't have guilt from it, but you also are aware that it caused problems in your previous marriage. So when we're doing a reality check, we're really looking at how was my spending habits? Like, how did I handle the money that was in my care? And does that match up with the way my new spouse, handles money? And if we both are super givers or we both overspenders or gamblers, what are we going to do about that? Because we don't want to sweep things under the rug and brush them off, because they will get bigger down the line. But we want to be open about how we are handling our money.
And I will say that hiding money or doing things with the money that your spouse has no idea about is not the best way of going about things for your resources or your finances in your household.
Especially for a remarriage.
Especially for a remarriage.
The other thing you want to look at is how were your financial upbringing or your financial experiences? And what we mean by that is, like, were you brought up in a household with one main income provider and the other one kind of was subject to whatever the main provider did? Or were you brought up in a household where you saw your parents both working, they both had
jobs and resources.
Jobs or equal share in finances, and they did their own things. Everybody did their own thing. Or did you come from a upbringing that you really discussed finances as a family? It seemed like you guys were always on one accord. There were family meetings, there were goals. People were tracking like how much we were making and saving and things like that, because that's what you're going to bring into your remarriage. And you want to kind of see and check where each of you are so that you can create the financial atmosphere that you both want to have in your new marriage.
I would also say that, did you grow up having money or not having money? And did your spouse grow up without money or having a lot of money? Because that can play a role in your current relationship as well. If someone came from money and someone else didn't, how do we meet into the middle right here so that we can have a happy, healthy relationship?
And how would you say that?
Another reality check about your finances is when you grew up poor versus when someone else grew up rich, and how you spend your money now that you both may have a little bit of money together.
Yes, because sometimes people who have grown up without money, sometimes they tend to have extreme money habits. Like, they get some money and they'll hold on to it. They do not want to spend it. They'll save it.
Or hoard it, actually.
Kind of like hoard money.
Yeah.
But won't use it when you need it.
And money has to move.
They also can have where as soon as they get the money, they want to spend it.
Well, not like that. I said move, but it's not like that.
Right. They want to spend it. They want to get things because they feel like they may not have it again. And that is something that affects marriages and can really affect remarriages, because when you have a blended family situation, a person who has issues with money, emotional ties to it, to childhood, may overspend on children. I mean, it could happen either way. So these are things that you want to talk about during your reality check. Let's say you have to repair something and it's $500. And to someone who wasn't raised with a lot of money, that $500 seems like a lot. And for someone who was raised with money, that might not, that's a drop in a bucket. Yeah, it's no big deal. And maybe there wasn't communication on how or when it was going to be spent. And I think that happens to couples a lot because they value the worth or the amount of money differently depending on their upbringing. So it's important to see that, because some couples, they'll have limits. They'll say, hey, when we're apart, the only amount we can spend is like $100. And you have to be okay with that, even if you see that amount differently. I mean, I think me and you, we were at a point where it's like, if $20 leaves this household, we need to be accountable. I mean, anything over 20, we need to be accountable for it to each other. And that's just something depending on the season you're in and how you both view the importance of knowing what amount is like not a value. There, money is always value, but what you think a large amount is.
Well, at one point, we wanted to know if the other person spent any money.
Yeah.
Not just $10, $20 or $100. It was like, what money actually left this account?
That's a good story, because you have to know what season you're in.
And what the person has gone through financially.
So I had just gone through a financial devastation with my ex, and I was very leery of sharing accounts. I was very nervous about that. And so because I had that anxiety or tension and stress about it, you were willing to kind of make sure to ease that fear for me. I'm going to let you know at every time when I spend money. When we first got together, we were in the season of kind of like recovery, and I was healing from a financial devastation. I was very sensitive about where the money was going because of that.
And a trust factor as well.
Right. And you were very understanding about that. And you're like, hey, look, I'm not trying to spend the money or waste money or anything like that. And we were really kind of holding each other accountable for almost every dime.
Yes.
In the beginning. But that was only a season. We knew we weren't going to stay like that. But to build trust with each other and communication, we did that for a season.
Well, we had a lot going on when we first got married. We had the kids, we had job changes, we had dealing with our exes still at the time, and we had learning about each other. Mm-hmm. We had learning about our resources, our finances, putting everything together. So there was a lot going on with us.
Yeah, we had legal situations.
Yeah, there's some legal situations.
So that's true. Like, we weren't saying that this is how we were going to do our finances forever. But it was what we needed to do right then in that season.
And that leads me to know that in our relationship with money, it's just a season, not a finality. We knew at the time that things were going to change. It's just we didn't know when, but we did know that they will change.
Knowing your financial season is important, and also is deciding on the path that you want to go on in your finances. And when I say that, I mean some remarried couples will categorize their finances into there's your finances, there's my finances, and then there's ours. And that has worked effectively for many remarried couples. Other couples like to have everything together. We are one, everything is going to be together. And that has worked. Some people do kind of a combination of the two. They'll have the couple's finances all together, but may distribute accounts for the kids separately. There may be just a child support account or just a separate insurance account. It depends on everyone's situation. And I think that the main thing is to be of open communication.
And to have agreement. So you want to talk about it, but you also want to agree that this is what we're going to do for this household. And it's between the two people. It's not between a whole village. It's between the two people who are in charge of the resources, the finances, and the household. If you're going through some things with your finances, we want you to know that you're not alone, and we have been there as well. And things will change for the better.
I'll share a story that when I was living with my dad and my stepmom, I think I shared this story before on another podcast, but it was when I had an extracurricular activity, and my dad spent money from the household to pay for my extracurricular activities. And my stepmother was very upset because that money was supposed to go to the household, and my younger brother and sister was not receiving those funds. My dad, I think, kind of justified it where she was receiving child support from her ex to take care of her kids. It was his, but they were her biological kids. And he was using money to take care of me, an extracurricular activity. I think that is a very touchy subject, because when kids are involved and in a blended family, and you may have some kids that are like involved in something that is more expensive, like sports is very expensive, and then maybe you have a child that is into drawing, and that may not take as much expenses out in time or travel. You have to come together and decide how funds are going to be split, because it may not be equal. Like every child gets the same amount, but every child may need to have
what they need.
The same support as the household can maintain it. And then you have to consider, is that just that season? This child will be getting a lot of financial attention now because of this season of their sport or their activity. And then this child will be taken care of this way. In that, with my father and my stepmother, my father assumed that it was okay to spend money on me because he only had me for the summer. So whatever money, it was my season. And I don't think my stepmom would have had any issue with it had he told her ahead of time.
And that's what I was going to ask you. Did he tell her that he was about to do that?
No, I don't think so. That's what caused the problem. And I remember hearing them argue, and I was so sad. And I was like, Dad, we don't have to go. I don't have to do it. Because as a child, I did not want to see my parents argue over money about me.
Yeah, it doesn't make a child feel good to know that their parents are arguing and they feel like it's because of them.
Yeah.
Because now they feel like, wow, I made my parents feel bad. And no child wants to feel that. So it's good in situations like that to just agree on what we're going to do and make sure that we're having communication to discuss the next step and what we're choosing to do.
That's right. I think too, my father was an impulse spender, and that goes into, are you impulsive? And if you are impulsive, maybe you need to have a small account for impulsive spending that your spouse agrees to. They know how you are and you know how you are. And it's like, okay, you spend wisely. Maybe you make good choices, but you spend it impulsively. Can you be both?
I think that being wise with finances comes with being more reserved. That's my own thought process, but it doesn't mean that it's right. I'm just saying that if you are a super spender and impulsive when it comes to your finances, that could cause problems. To me, I don't think that it's a wise thing to do or be. If I were an impulsive person, I know that I would need some help, because that is something I would not want to do to my spouse. Be impulsive, let the resources or the finances go out the door. She has no idea what happened, and we were not in agreement. That's definitely, in my opinion, going to cause a fight.
Yeah, that's why maybe, if it's something that you're impulsive on good things and you're working on that, maybe there should be a little account for you.
That would be nice.
Because we don't want to cause any problems. I already know the amount that you're spending on, maybe you have like an allowance for the month. You can be impulsive with, whatever the amount is.
But also, I would think that I would have to learn how to not be as impulsive, because I'm building a habit by being impulsive. So I would have to learn how to be more reserved with my resources, or communicate, hey, babe, this is what I'm going to do. I really want to buy this, but I want you to know about it. I'm not just going to do it without you knowing, so that there's no confusion about the situation.
Yeah, that's a hard topic.
It's a hard thing to do, because if you're an impulse person, you just want to go ahead and get it or do it or have it.
And you can feel a type of way that you're being restricted.
And impulse people do not want to be restricted in any way when it comes to the resources. My heart goes out to anyone walking through this right now, because this is a tough subject, but it is a needed subject, and it's a needed discussion for every remarried couple.
And the good thing that comes out of it is clarity and knowledge and a trust that you're going in the same direction together.
That's really what you want to have anyway, is you want to have that closeness with the both of you when it comes to your money and everything else.
We've been talking about a money reality check, And now we're going to get into building a family financial plan.
So you want to ask yourself, what does financial peace look like in our remarriage?
And that's a good question. So if you had everything kind of taken care of and what you need, what does that look like? What does financial peace look like? Because that's how you're going to build your family financial plan.
So financial peace looks different for everybody. And in one aspect, it can be I'm a millionaire and I can buy whatever I want and it just looked fantastic to me in that way. But another side, it could be I can get whatever I want. I'm not a millionaire, but I don't have to worry about the stress of going to a job. So financial peace comes in very different aspects.
Yeah, I agree, because financial peace to me is more of knowledge and being on one accord than so much of I can afford everything. I have enough money to do everything, because not a lot of people live like that. So for me, financial peace is just the knowing that I have someone on my side. We're together and we are going through life together in like a peaceful way. Like, we can talk about our finances. We can make a plan for how we're going to spend our money, invest our money, build our money, give our money. If we're in agreement, that's financial peace for me.
Another aspect of financial peace is having other streams of income. And that's another thing that some people like to have as financial peace.
Yeah, I can see that for men especially.
Yeah.
You may have your job and maybe you want to have an investment or something that, so if one changes, you still have the other one coming in.
So you can rely on something else. You have other aspects of your finances that they won't all just go away at one because someone doesn't want you at the job. You get fired, downsized, or what have you. Now you still have some coming in to take care of your household. It's a big responsibility to take care of a wife and children. So having multiple streams of income is a great thing for remarried men.
Yeah, I agree. And, financial peace is knowing that you either put some things in place and you have options and your spouse is on board with that. I mean, that is really what I guess financial peace would look like for us. And for you, it's something that you want to talk about with your spouse, because maybe you never knew that your spouse was feeling a pressure to have more streams of income, or to maybe eliminate an outpour or something that's going out, like
an expense.
Yeah, like maybe we should really just stop that streaming service. That I'm tired of it.
At least for a temporary time. It doesn't always have to
seasons.
be. Yeah, there's seasons. Sometimes it's not, we're going to stop having this or that forever. It's just for a time.
Yeah, you can definitely find a way to have financial peace at any stage of your finances in your marriage. And another thing to build a family financial plan is to really evaluate who is responsible for the expenses. So the debts that you have, the responsibility, the utilities, the what else do you have?
Well, giving, saving, your income, who's responsible for what part of that?
Yeah, who's going to be in charge of it? And what account is it going to come out of?
Yes.
I recommend that anyone who is remarried should have another account somewhere. And I say that to say it's another joint account, together.
I was about to ask, is it supposed to be a secret account? Or is it
No, I'm saying if you've always had 3 accounts.
Yeah.
And I've always had 3 accounts my whole life. You should at least just open a new account just for it to be new.
For the both of you?
Yeah, for the both of you. For using this for date night or something, because that is important in remarriage. Don't forget to date each other. An account that you assign something new. It's like a new account for this new union. And you can put whatever you want in it or use it for whatever. But I just believe that the act of doing that and preparing that makes it something new. Makes you think of it differently for your financial plan.
And building a family financial plan is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. So communicating about that, having agreements about what you're building. So you're really going to be talking talking about where are we going? What are we building together? Because this is a new union. It's a new family. It's a new place, probably. Someone moved, I'm sure. And so it's like, well, we're building something that has never been here before. So what are we trying to do?
Yeah, and that's interesting you said that, because a lot of times people will come together with their own little, pod, right? They have their own home or their own place and their own kids. And you want to see how these two separate pods are going to become one. And building that financial plan is discussing also how are we going to divide up things with our family, like this new place, this new life. What is important to us? Is it important for us to have new cars every 2 years? Is that important to you? Is it important for us to have the latest technology gadget? Is it really important for us to eat healthy? Is it important for us to
eat out? Some people want to eat out. Yeah.
Right. Is it important for us to have investment? Do we want to, get into real estate? What is it that we want to do? It's important at this time to plan that out and then create the account or the spending habits or the saving habits.
Or find the investments
that correlate with whatever it is that you want to do. So you write the plan out, or you write what you're thinking that you want to do, and then you write how you're going to get there. And that's important because people can have different ways to get to the same destination. And you want to see how your spouse feels about it and how you feel about it, because you'll be like, I didn't think about that.
Or where they feel that they want to go. Because you have to talk about it to see if they want to go anywhere, or where they, how far do they want to go in that situation.
That's a good how far.
Yeah.
Let's say we both want to invest in stocks, for example.
But how far?
How far and how much money are we going to spend in year one? And a lot of times, when we were younger, at least for me, we were like, you have to have a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan. And that went all out the window when I got divorced. There was no plan. No. And even
survival was the plan.
Yeah, even the plans I had, it just all went out the window.
Yeah.
Just completely. So this new plan is something that can be a little bit more flexible and to be able to handle the new situations that are coming up in a blended family or just in a new remarriage. A lot of people come from very different backgrounds and ideologies, but create a plan and roles that really do work for you in your marriage. It has to be tailor-made.
If this episode helped you, can you do 2 things for us?
First, please subscribe and share this episode with another couple that may need to hear this conversation.
And second, leave a review on your favorite podcast platform.
Remember, you can have a healthy,
happy
remarriage.
We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye-bye.